Hey, what's good, people? This is the Option Podcast. This is episode 177. That guy looks like Tyler Penberthy. That guy looks like Carlos Jimenez. We're going to find out. The episode starts right now. It's good, boys.
Hey, how's it?
Nice. I'm going to get you some volume, Carlos. All right, guys, you have asked, and asked, you shall receive. Because for me, I've got to give the people what they want. That man is Tyler Penberthy. That man is Carlos Jimenez. I come in first, and if you want to tie with me, you got to do it Carlito's way. What's up, boys?
How's it going?
What's happening?
He's like, what the
yeah. I'm like, that singing was way better than I thought it would be.
It's better live, that's for sure.
So, guys, we got Huntington Beach coming up, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You actually played a Norseca today, which we don't really have. We ain't got to talk about that if we don't want to. That's just one of them things as players. You have selective amnesia.
Yeah,
that's it.
So,
the Norseca happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of the learning process. Right, like we, our goal was at the start of the season was to play 2 international events. The Norseca would have been an international event, but
it's Canada, right? This one was Canada.
It was
Trinidad
and Tobago.
This one was Trinidad.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, guys!
Yeah. It would have been Pigeon Point, and then supposedly there was also another event, but.
There's 2 TBD events.
Yeah.
One is actually TBD and the other one's actually canceled.
Yeah. So it's most likely it's probably only going to be for one event.
Yeah. What about the one from last week?
The one from last week, it would be for the Norseca Championships.
That was a big deal.
That was a big.
That's why everybody was there.
That's why everyone was
crazy.
There. Yeah.
And Norsecas are weird because it's so random on who wins and loses. Like today. I'm gonna just say it like this. What's his name? Who's Corey's partner again?
Logan Weber.
Logan Weber. That dude did not look happy. That dude kicked. I know his foot's gonna hurt him because he kicked a water bottle and a chair at the same time. And I don't think his foot between that 3-way wrestling match. Yes. I don't think his foot won that one. I think he's gonna be feeling it. But the way he left, I'm like, that's not how winners leave. I'm like, okay, something happened. Yeah. Either that or he's a sore winner. Right? I fucking love Corey. I fucking love everyone Corey. In fact, I'm out. I don't want to play no more. Yeah, that's how winners leave, right?
It's a frustrating game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really tough. You've seen the success that they've had all last year and during COVID, right? Evan and Logan, they had so much magic, and it's just the ebbs and flows of volleyball, man. Sometimes you're winning big, and sometimes you're losing big. It's like you're at the casino.
Dude, this is the same team that beat Theo and Trevor to make it to the final, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And they go anyway, right? Because they lost. I think they lost to Bud and Miles, but I think the top 2 go. Yeah. So
from Norseca champs.
You better make that trip. That's the trip you got. That's the trip you're gonna make.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Norseca scene is new for us.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. So I don't know too much about the details and who's and what's, and that's a Cali thing. We're East Coast guys.
Yeah.
So we kind of stay in our lane, and then we jumped out here. It worked out timing wise to jump out here for Huntington Beach, take a chance and see what we can do. And today didn't go our way, and we got more competition left this week.
You have to appreciate how liberating that is, though, right? When I moved out here, I came here with 19 years coaching experience. I'm a former player. I played, set for 2 teams. I won nationals, blah, blah, blah. Played overseas, got the resume, right? And people not knowing you kind of makes you a little bit defensive, like, F you, I did this, I did that, right? And you get caught up in that validation game. And then eventually, speaking for myself, you become what you despise. Right, that's like that. Yeah, I'm. Oh my God, I'm that guy. That felt like I gotta sell myself all the time. Sucks, And the year in, I wanted to go back home. I was like, and I said it the Brooklyn way. I told my wife, I'm like, you want to kill me? Take me back to Brooklyn and kill me. All right, don't let me die. Right, put me under the Verrazano, put 2 on my head, let me die like a man. Don't
Jimmy Hoffa's buried.
Yeah, don't let me die in the sand like a snake. So no, but. So I guess I took a long time to say that, but what I'm alluding to was there less pressure because of that? Was there a more liberating feeling, even coming out to Huntington? Just let you hang.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. That was our feeling last year too. Like the entire last season. I mean, nobody really had heard of us. Really low expectations. We were playing with house money the whole season. Had some good success, and we've tried to keep that attitude. I think again this year too, right? So. Luckily, they used AVP points for the seating for this event, so we were seated where we didn't have to play an entry-level game, and we played a good team against Bill and Hagen, and they played well and whooped on us pretty good with a ball that we don't really get to use all that often. It's pretty elusive to find one of those FIVB balls.
Dude. Yeah,
I don't know if they got those like stored away in the vault or what.
Tell
what
you
the
what,
FIVB is doing,
I'll be selling my old ones, man. I have 12 of the the ones before that, the previous ones. And it's the same, this and that. But I'm like, seriously, you're going to make a new ball that has a little bit of red. Now I look like the guy who's got like the old balls, you know?
I'm waiting for the AVP to come out with a new ball too, right? Like, it's coming. The optics.
I'm done buying. If they do it again. They got to do it once every 5 years. At least at FIVB. How long has it been before that, right? It's been a minute.
Well, you think about it, we were just talking about pickleball or even like Frisbee golf, right? So you're able to sell pickleball paddles, the actual pickleballs themselves, the nets, all this merch that you can sell. What can you sell in beach volleyball? You can sell a Park and Sun net, you can sell a Wilson ball, and sunglasses that aren't even sponsored by the AVP, right?
But aren't they getting their pound of flesh from that ball, though? As far as price?
Yeah.
It's the most expensive ball in any sport. Think about it.
Yeah.
NFL, Wilson, you get a good Wilson football, $69, right?
Sure. Golf balls are pretty expensive. We'll say that. But golf is an expensive sport too, right?
It is. Golf is not.
Well,
fun.
everybody
That's
asks why is there no money in beach volleyball? Well, you can't sell
right.
Right? You're selling entertainment, so you need quality entertainment to be able to bring some revenue in, right?
Well, golf is really more about rich people watching themselves play. So they're like, are you kidding? To hell with cable TV. This is going to be on free TV. Dude, back then all you needed was an antenna. Right?
Yeah.
So,
fun fact, I actually skipped the PGA Championships this week in Rochester, New York at Oak Hill to be out here, for a chance with my guy. So,
nice.
Yeah, but
did you ever sell that ticket, by the way?
I did. I lost 66% of the money on that ticket because Tiger's not playing, so nobody cares about the PGA Championships at Oak Hill anymore, which is a beautiful course, by the way. Rochester, New York.
So you're from Buffalo, right? Originally,
born and raised. Yeah.
Bear with me on this one because I usually go. If anywhere near that area, it's probably like Lake George, Saratoga, this and that. I was coaching at Baruch College with the Stack family, so you visit Dewville, Medallia, SUNY Buffalo, this and that. Nazareth, right? They were a really good team back then. What's the most fun month to be out there? For me, August, like weather-wise, I guess I'll lead the dance.
Yeah.
August, because it was Lake George. It was the first weekend of August or second weekend of August. You go to the racetracks after that. You just have a good time. So give me, is like, would you say August
volleyball-wise or just in general?
Let's talk about a mixture of both. The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah. The beach volleyball scene in upstate New York is smaller than most, but very quality with the people and tournaments that you get up there, right? Yeah. So Buffalo doesn't have as much beach volleyball, but if you go to Rochester, you have Nova, who runs tournaments every single weekend. So my favorite tournament that I went to was Sylvan Beach, which is outside of Syracuse, New York, on Oneida Lake. First weekend of June every year, just play, and the entire Rochester and Syracuse community comes together for one big weekend. It's almost like a mini fuzz in a way, right?
Yeah.
So you get the men's on one day, the women's on the other day, just without the fours, and it's a pretty good party. It's a fun time. And then you have Syracuse, which has a good scene, and then there's really like the rest of Eastern New York, which is Rochester, Saratoga, Lake George, all those events later in the summer. But I mean, the summer in upstate New York is unbeaten, right? No humidity, 80s weather, really good temperature, and good weather for if you can get any beach volleyball around.
Hell yeah, grass, beach, anything.
They love their grass up there too. Yeah, big money up for some of those grass tournaments too. Yeah,
dude, I mean, that put me through summer school for college, man. What I would do is I would find out the biggest tournament. I'm like, all right, Pottstown Rumbles this weekend. Guess what? I'm going to Connecticut. That one's $600. I'm gonna just go clean up. So, and I had, when you have sponsors too, I had Tiva Sandals. That was one of my sponsors. I would make.
Yeah, there's some
I would only make like 5,000 for the summer, but that's a 3-credit course when I went to college.
It's still pretty solid, and like we haven't really played much grass, but I know a bunch of guys that they make a killing on grass, right? So like the Dig in Connecticut, another 10K tournament.
Yes.
I've never played Pottstown Rumble. That's on my list.
I did. That's gnarly. It is the most grueling tournament in all of volleyball. I'll say it like that. Mm-hmm. It's old school rules, right? Side out. It's one of the most humid months in Pennsylvania.
Sure.
It is 15, right? To 15. And it's 2 days. Yeah. And it's night lights. It's all day and all night. It's night lights. So, yeah. All of the guys, all of the beach players who decided to play in that, like, they do really well, but they feel like they lost, like, 5 years of their volleyball.
Takes a toll. It's worse than indoor, to be honest, on the body.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind grass. I've played a couple of times, but I've heard, the stories like Katie Spieler, her, what was it, her ACL, MCL, I think.
Yeah.
Who else? Like, just injuries like that, just from the beach players that have played an odd grass tournament.
Yep.
And I don't know, for me at this point, it's not worth it to endanger myself in that way.
It might as well be hardtop, honestly. Yeah. Right? I mean, Central Park, we had, back when I grew up, we had the hardtop 4s.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And immigration population is just sick. The Russians come through Brighton Beach, the Dominicans, right? Uptown, you know something about that.
I mean, when I was in high school, like my first year of high school, that was when I started playing indoor because I started in beach. We were practicing on concrete. Like our school had it had been converted from a bank, so it had the parking lot behind it, and that was PE. And then they had drawn the lines. Mm-hmm. They had filled in tires with cement, attached the poles to it, and then they would roll them out to make the net, and then the court was already painted, and you were expected to dive and go after these balls, just like a regular court.
Yep.
So I mean, I get it, but that's not what I want to do anymore.
No. And honestly, you play on something like that, it teaches you how to read better, right? Because nobody wants to dive on that. So,
have you guys ever played 9-man?
Yeah.
I've never
played 9-man, but I have. Oh my God, it is. How do you call that? Control chaos.
Yeah. How do you get into it? Because I thought 9-man was with like. Gotta be careful. I say.
Just say it. Chinese 9-man.
Yeah. I thought there were rules of like you have to be this percentage Chinese to be able to play.
Well, the rule is you're allowed to have one non-Asian person.
Got it. Okay.
On your team. In fact, I'm a plug in one.
It looks so fun.
It
looks
is
totally different. Than
it's control chaos.
Yeah.
You got 5 front row blockers. You got 4 back row defenders. If you play a ball off the net, it doesn't count as a hit. However, block does count as a hit. You're not on jumps on your serve. You're not allowed to penetrate the height of the net on your contact. So it's just on the ground, heavy top spin serve. It is, it's these crazy rules. In fact, let me I'll tell you how I got into it in a minute, but let's take a look at some.
Okay.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, we want a commercial.
Do you ever do
right?
that? Do you ever help out YouTube by answering one question?
Yes.
Damn, you were getting into the algorithm?
No, I'm kidding.
Tough.
I was messing around with that. So here's some of the plays.
Oh, that's on
I mean, look at this. This is in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So you got guys running ones, back ones, 31s, and of course a go ball, maybe a 5 ball. And Coach Donnie is, I get all my diving lessons, like communicating with my kids, like they're tired of hearing your voice for a while. You have to give them someone else. So Coach Donnie he talks from down here, eye level where the kids can communicate. Me, I'm up here like, but he's diving videos every time. Coach Don is whatever, but that's 9-man.
Yeah.
And how did I get into that? I played 1 year. I was at Hunter College for a cup of coffee in 1994, and 4 of the guys on my team played 9-man. They were Chinese. And Justin Stack actually played with me. He's half Vietnamese, so he played a lot of 9-man. Danny Moy, who's the founder or the president of the New York, New Jersey Strangers. There's a guy named David May who was a runner-up for the Iron Horse Award, which goes to the best player in New York City. Mike Salick won that year. There's a name from the past. So it was just a great boom period where Hunter was good. Vassar was the only team to make the EIVA finals. Only Division III team to make the Division I EIVA finals. Lost to Penn State,
Interesting.
who won the whole
So
thing that year.
they used to be in the EIVA, like they used to be.
Hunter, yeah. Yeah, Hunter used to be. And then when they started adding more teams in CUNY, because back then there were only 5 teams for CUNY. When you have like 8 teams or 10 teams, then and there's more Division III teams, then you have to play.
Yeah.
Then good, you get to play more D3 teams. But we had to play Rutgers twice, who was D1. We had to play Princeton, LIU, Southampton. Mike Salick played for them. They had 2 guys on a national team. It was a great boom period for the East Coast, which NCAA was won by the East Coast that year. It was Penn State beat UCLA in 5. You're a Florida guy.
Yes, sir.
So I'm not gonna ask you about a fun month in Florida. They're all fun months.
Yeah, I mean, these days in the summer it can get a little bit brutal, but it's kind of the price you pay for wonderful weather all year round, beaches that are beautiful. We were kind of talking about how the beach culture here on the West Coast versus the East Coast is so different.
Dude, let's do a split screen on it because I want to see his reaction and him agreeing with you. Tell me, let's do a little comparison and contrast. That's why we're here. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Like, for example, I think we came out today. We were competing for the Norseca, and then later we also did a practice. So we were at the beach 2 different times. Once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Like, I don't know, around, when did we start?
9 o'clock warming up.
Yeah.
In the morning.
And then practice was at 4.
Yeah. Just about.
Or 3.
2, yeah,
okay.
2, 3.
And we get there, and if you get to a Florida beach at either of those times, I mean, there's already tons of people. There's already people being active in cycling, running, swimming, whatever.
Yeah.
Or people laying out, people setting up for the day if you're in the morning, like just to spend all day there. But when you get to the beach here, unless there's an event, there aren't people at the beach.
Yeah, that's sad.
It's just kind of like something that's there, and like people will come if they are planning something very specific. Like it's hey, we're going to the beach just to play, or we're going to the beach just to do a bonfire. But like, people don't just hang out at the beach. People don't just go visit just to visit, and it makes it feel a lot more like, abandoned's not the right word, but deserted. Deserted than the East Coast beaches where you feel like an energy. You feel it feels vibrant. Whereas like when you come to the beach here, unless you bring your own energy and create your own energy, then you just feel like you're practicing in a void. Like and competition helps a little bit because then that energy is there. There's multiple teams going back and forth with each other, which was cool. Like that's what it felt like at the Norseca. A bunch of energies coming together. Yeah. But like when we just went out to practice, it was almost like if the water hadn't been there, it was almost like we just
like
walked,
a sandbox.
Yeah, into a sandbox out in the desert, and we were just kind of
could have been Arizona.
Yeah, seriously,
could have been deeper sand.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you get? Is that? Do you share his assessment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've only been in Florida now for probably about 3.5 years cumulatively. So I lived in Orlando for 2 years.
Okay.
And then I went back up to University of Buffalo, finished up my MBA, and then found a home back down in St. Petersburg, where I live now. And yeah, it's just a different vibe going to the beach. I mean, the beaches here are so wide too. Like it's the deeper sand. It is just like a really unique Cali vibe though, that when you come out here, it's hard to replicate. It almost makes you want to move out here, to be honest. I mean, the volleyball is so good, and it's just such a unique culture and vibe that you really can't replicate anywhere else, in my opinion. But I mean, that's coming from Buffalo, New York, where our beaches are rocks along the lake. You know,
they are.
We have some natural beaches, like we have Woodlawn Beach, which is right near Cave, which is one of our sponsors, and where I play beach volleyball back when I'm in Buffalo. But I mean, other than that, you really have to go along Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, or find another smaller finger lake that you can get some beach volleyball on up in New York.
Yeah. For me, Because I came from such a big city, moving here, I felt like I lost a sense of volleyball community. Like you'll see guys playing ace, right? You'll see Smackfest fours, you'll see Manhattan sixes, and you'll see all of this sense of community that comes in these spurts. But for the most part, I'm seeing what you're saying. Let's meet up, let's play. Gotta go to work, gotta pick up my kid from school. I'm going to Starbucks, and I felt like I lost quantitatively like a huge sense of community. I'm not saying it doesn't exist out here, and I'm certainly not trying to cash any aspersions on a bunch of guys who drink every time you get a clean shot. I mean that's a real thing too, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like I lost a little bit of that because Central Park used to have one court, and then John Stossel, Justin Stack, and a bunch of us. Really it was Stossel. He had a fundraiser. Raised 110 grand or something like that. Tore down the one court, built two nice, beautiful level courts by the sheet metal by Tavern on the Green. And half the time we go, and you don't even care if you play. You just go, you sit. We order Chinese food. They deliver Chinese food to us in the park, right? Sometimes we'll play spades. It's dark.
That's some classic New York shit.
Yeah, like street lights. You can't see the ball.
You can't write that, right? No. Like they're delivering Chinese food. You play beach volleyball. Yeah. That's actually on my volleyball bucket list.
It is.
I have a bucket list of places that I want to play.
You haven't been there?
I've never been to Central Park to play.
I've been there. I'm not from New York.
You would love it.
I mean, Buffalo and New York City are just complete opposites, right? Like I associate more with Toronto than I do New York City, even though the state is New York, right? I mean, Toronto's 2 hours away. New York City is 7.5 hours from Buffalo, right? Like it's the complete opposite side of the state.
Well, if you drive like me, you could probably do it in 5. You know what I mean? I'm an ex-military guy, drove on the Autobahn, and they drive like absolute maniacs out here too. So
you can't drive like that out
down
here,
in Florida too. I mean, you can't get
maniacs.
Florida drivers. Jeez.
Yeah. So the cool thing about New York is that it was so personal, like partnerships, marriages, roommate situations. All of that stuff was formed by this group of 100 people from maybe like 6 open level players, a load of AA guys for beach, because all the AA guys are probably open indoor because they're international players. The Russians, of course. The Dominicans from uptown is just it's religion. It's religion. Like I took Adam Roberts because he lived in New York for I think almost a decade. I took him to Riverbank State Park, which is indoor, and we call it Dominican fours, right? And they have a first hit rule. Everyone has to forearm pass. So the only rule that they keep, like you could dig this way, you can take first hit, double hit, but they said first hit has to be forearm pass. And you got guys that are like 6'7", they say go play with the girls because you can't pass. It is strictly and everyone hits heavy handed, and Adam played with me, and I was like, it'd be nice if I had a middle. Adam's like, I'll play middle, I don't care. So Adam is center back, right? Yeah. Passing and running the one, just like tread, gives himself enough time on the pass. Yeah. And this is 2002 Adam. Yeah. This is. I mean, Adam's timeless anyway. It's impossible to guess his age, but the dude's a mensch, man. Right? Have you guys been to Myrtle Beach and played there?
I have not yet. No.
That's another stop you gotta make.
List,
because that's community. That is
for sure.
Kevin Knight. That's Angel Dace.
I heard Coach Goody's got a really good thing going out there. He runs his tournaments pretty well. And they get some really good feedback on those two, but I know Adam Roberts is a local member of the St. Pete Chess Club. Talk about a utility guy. He is unreal at chess.
Who's that?
A-Rob. Yeah. Adam Roberts.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Longtime part of Marty Lawrence lives out there too. Yeah. Marty Cal Northridge guy. Yeah.
We got a really good community right now in St. Pete.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, just talking dichotomy of East Coast versus West Coast volleyball. Like we got some serious ballers.
Yes, you do
in St. Petersburg, Florida.
I mean, where's Phil live? Right.
Phil's in Orlando.
About an hour. Half away.
Nick also Orlando.
He's Tally.
He's in Tallahassee. Yeah, so that's at least a 3 to 4 hour drive.
But collectively, the state of Florida, you got like the 2 or 4 guys
for sure
that Phil is like, I don't know what kind of farewell tour he's doing with a guy who bought him a Porsche and playing, with Andy Benesh, who's like the hitman for hire, then playing with Taylor Crabb, then playing with Casey Patterson.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody pushing that guy off the cliff.
I mean,
nobody pushing him up. Like I just be glad to see his ass go.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm mixed. Which one of these are gonna push him off the cliff?
I want to see him keep playing.
I guess.
Keep winning with different guys.
Why not?
I had AVP asked on Instagram, like, what are your predictions for the season? I go, Phil wins at least, like, 3 different tournaments with 8 different partners.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's going to bounce around because he's still Phil.
Now,
he's still gnarly.
Think about this. Like, I had this little awards thing. Like, Travis Muritter, Sandcast, they got their awards thing. Great podcast, right? Second most viewed podcast in the sport.
Oh, for sure.
So they had their awards thing, so I decided to have my own. I had invited Matt Prosser, who was a commentator at 5VB, Long Beach State guy, and Aaron Wexler, who was an assistant, at UCLA, helped the women win. He was Kelly Reeves' coach.
Gotcha.
And he's doing some great things out there. And he wrote a book called Within the Game. He's like one of these positive yoga Zen people. He makes me sick.
Yeah, watch out, DJ. Don't say shit. Watch your tongue.
I'm kidding. No, I'm being facetious. The fact of the matter is, if I don't have people like that in my life, I'm just a hater.
It's a balance.
Yeah, I need, like, if you were here, you'd be in my life. I need to have people around me like that, so I'm not like that all the time. But we did our own award show, Point and Fact. I said Miles Partain had a good year, right? And we came up with 3 different people. Like, what's his name said Phil, and the other guy said Taylor, because the numbers were
for MVP.
If you look at the numbers for defense and hit kills per game and hitting percentage, Miles and Taylor were razor close. But then what's his name was like, wait a minute. Phil won 3 tournaments with 3 different partners. And I'm like, holy sugar, he is right.
What's it about? It's all about winning.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the most valuable
Win more
player?
points than the other team.
Yeah.
Who's the most valuable player?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, Miles had a good year, but that's a great argument for Phil.
Yeah.
For women, I had Kelly Chang. For best team, I had Nuss and TKN.
Sure.
They're just that's a 2-horse race to the Olympics, right? It's Chang and Hughes. Mad respect to all of those girls out there, man. Right? Love me some Kelly Kalinsky. Love us some, Aya Lindell, who's coming up. And we can go on and on, right? Tina Gradina, who's my mentor's goddaughter, oldest Lucy's. He taught me how to coach volleyball. So that's a small world.
Yeah.
But it's a 2-horse race to the Olympics between those two.
Just
How about
based
the
on-
men?
Yeah, it's a.
It's way more of a dogfight. I think you're seeing so many more teams participating in the Olympic race than I think in past years, and that's partly due to some of like the old guard dropping off.
Yes.
Jake Gibb, Phil Dahlhaus not competing internationally anymore. So
Yeah.
a lot of teams are coming in to fill that void, I guess you could call it. So, and it's a lot more competitive, I guess, in a way, because I want to say that the pipeline, one of the things that I feel like the pipeline from club to college to pro has done is it's made the gap between the elite
Amen.
and
Preach.
and the up and coming that much more deep, I would say, because in the men's it seems more like yes, there are guys who will win more often, but it seems like on a given day, because of the parity that's a result of the lack of pipeline and all guys just trying to do what they can to make it work, there is a little bit more of an ability to interchange teams. Like some days this team could win, some days that team could win. But I wouldn't say necessarily that's a good thing. I think the pipeline that's been built for the women is a very good thing. Like it's already shown how much it's producing medals for the USA. And I personally wish we had that same pipeline for the men.
There was, you know what it created? It created the boom period. Like once every 4 years, you got this flock of girls
Oh yeah.
That are just coming through. Like, look, 2 years from now, same thing. Because I was when I moved here, I was coaching Endless Summer, which is a beach group, and that in 2019 we led the nation in recruitments per capita. We had a 19-person group and 12 people got recruited. So how cool is that?
Yeah.
So they're all in their sophomore and junior year. So watch out for them. But boom periods, right?
Yeah.
You got Gradina. That same year as Kristen Nuss and Cloth. You got Haley Harward. You got Sponsel,
That's a
right?
scary class, yeah.
That is right.
Yeah.
That was the class after Clays and Hughes. That was more of a 2-horse race or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
right, because you don't see Alexa Strange around. You don't see a lot of these girls around. Fallon Moana is like a career journey person who could beat anyone in any day. But boom periods.
Yeah.
Man.
It's coming for the boys, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
I hope so.
I really believe it. Like, there's some really good grassroots efforts to grow boys volleyball, like, especially at Weber University, Westcliff, like, battling each and every year, right? So
He was the head coach, right?
My dad was.
Oh, okay.
Same
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
I gotta do my research.
Can we just clarify this real quick? So he
Jesus,
goes by
please.
his legal name, right? Go ahead. Explain
Yeah,
this.
so-
Go ahead.
My legal name is Carlos Guillermo Jimenez, and because my dad's name is Carlos Eduardo Jimenez, it's Colombia. It's a custom in Colombia and other Latin American countries that you have the same first name as your father, and then the differentiator is the middle name.
Gotcha.
So, different middle name. And when my dad and my family addressed me, they addressed me by the nickname Guille, because it's Guille, which is half of Guillermo.
Guillermo, yeah.
And so that's been my nickname since I was little. But for purposes of like first meetings, school stuff, work stuff, I usually say Carlos first. But the more you get to know me, the more you become part of my family, then it's almost like a status. Like, you can call me Guille.
I like it. Yeah.
But that does cause a lot of confusion with my dad. But
Try to search for him. I'm like, dude, how the hell is someone this young a head coach?
head coach,
You know, I got fooled, man. I got honey, man. I got
But
hoodwinked
the
on
boys volleyball scene, I mean, I think it is going to have the same explosion that the women's scene has had, right?
Yeah.
Where there's going to be more and more boys programs, and hopefully NCAA will work on finding a way around Title IX to get boys volleyball in the NCAA. And if not, just go NAIA, right?
Mm-hmm.
And continue to grow grassroots boys volleyball across the United States. Like, I wish that I had the chance to play beach volleyball when I was a kid. We had indoor in high school growing up in New York, which is pretty rare from what I know.
Yeah.
Like, Michigan, Ohio just got boys volleyball. I mean, that's
is
a
your
huge
boys
step
season
that
in the
direction.
fall?
Yeah.
Like Long
Yes.
Island?
In
Your
the
boys
fall.
season's in the fall?
Yeah,
for
it's
high
like a
school.
fall. It's a fall and then like a modified spring. So like
Right.
a very short spring after the end of indoor season.
Yeah.
And before graduation.
That's
But
pretty cool.
Yeah.
It takes what we're talking about. It takes like the effort of individual people done collectively, right? Because like I can remember for like the past 10 years, me, my dad, people in our circle have talked about pushing boys volleyball. But for the longest time, it was just talk. It was just thought. It was just an idea. And it wasn't until someone took the jump and put effort into making something happen. Like, for example, when my dad was at Weber International, he was there starting in 2018, but he started to do the groundwork for creating the beach team in 2019, and it was about to come out, about to take off, about to be announced, season about to come out, then boom, COVID 2020, right? We don't have to go into, obviously,
Did that not like alter everybody's life? But go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So eventually it comes out. There's a season. There's recruitment, scholarships. We have a season. That's like a first look at what boys beach volleyball could be. Because I think the girls have established that, like the duels format and all that is a good way to do it in in college.
And they get the viewership from
Hell
ESPN.
yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Definitely
the
could.
latest
Yeah.
NCAA championship,
I mean-
the ratings were excellent, and the competition was excellent, right? USC almost came back and won that.
Yeah.
It was entertaining to watch.
Yep.
They get a good, crowd
They did come
out of
back
Gulf
and win it,
Shores.
actually.
Oh yeah, sorry.
They
Excuse
did,
Me.
they- yeah.
So USC came back and won it, right? Like
Yeah.
a battle. It
Yeah.
goes down to the fifth.
Wow.
Um,
3 4s and
match.
5s, man.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
That's it.
Yeah, which is very similar in 2019 before COVID. The same situation with LSU and USC. So you're right. Talk to me. Let's not let ourselves get away with moving on from there. Let's talk about the how. Right? We want boys volleyball. We want men's volleyball to be able to do the same thing as women's volleyball, right? You got these women, they made it an NCAA sport. When it became an NCAA sport, it became a business, right? And as nice as these girls are with the hot bodies and sitting there with big smiles on their face, they will cut your throat, because that's how college has shaped them. And this is why women, it was no surprise to see women win the gold, and I mean, it's crazy, right? We get a 2-horse race, but there are 5 teams that can change that,
Yeah.
all because of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
So, men for the how. Let's go. I'm gonna actually give you each of us 60 seconds. Let's start a clock. And I want you, Carlos. I want you to go first, and I want you to go take 60 seconds. Where's my clock? I got a horn too. This is
shit.
good.
All
Yeah,
right.
I got one of those times up horns. All right, let's do that. And there's the clock. Boom.
All right.
All right, let's scroll up so you could see it. Carlos, you're first. Give me 1 or 2 things you think that can help. And we're just talking about men's beach, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. The floor is yours.
All right. I mean, it starts at, I think, the most basic level. Kids that are always training with girls because of the lack of availability, have all those kids together, put them in a group, right? Then they start to talk to their indoor friends. It's like, hey, we're not training with girls anymore. We're training together in a group of guys. That gets those guys interested in, like, hey, even if I'm still playing indoor, I know by now it's common knowledge that if you play beach, it's going to help you in indoor, especially at those young levels. So that's something that we're doing with the club that I'm with, B Volley. We just had a tryout for guys, right? And all the kids were super excited to be there because all they do is either train with girls, train with adults, or just play pickup games wherever they can, right?
That's where it's at.
They don't
Yep.
have any structure. So if at the most basic level, at the young junior level, you're providing structure, then there's that opportunity to go from there.
Well, the horn didn't yell at you. And your timing was pretty good. Do you know who Bertolt Brecht is? You're coming up next. Brecht is a playwright that believed that through his style of plays, believed that it takes one person to instigate, but change has to be that one person can't do change by himself, right?
No.
So we call that the Brechtian approach. Brechtian plays, Mother Courage and Her Children, Man Equals Man. My BFA's in acting. My degree's in acting, so that's why I know all this. But very, very interesting that you said that, because it's all Brechtian. Braveheart, the movie Braveheart, William Wallace, right? He was the instigator.
Yeah.
But change could only come collectively when whoever that president was or that leader, they needed him and other people to instigate that change.
I almost think of it as like a barrier. There's a barrier and there's a ton of energy behind it that can cause change. But until someone causes that first crack that lets some of that out, then everyone thinks, man, that energy behind that barrier must be so cool. And they just talk about it and they just think of how all the ways that it could be great. But until someone actually goes up against the wall and tries to get some of it out, it's just talk. Yeah.
Hey, you're up to bat. Give me 1 or 2 things you think that can help get this men's volleyball thing going.
Sure. I'll go more at the grassroots level. So I think that hosting regional events for beach, having people step up in their communities, whether they're an old head that was an open player back in the day, such as like Jimmy Nichols did in Syracuse, started a full bar with 12 courts and has grown phenomenal beach volleyball and indoor volleyball athletes too, right? So it takes individuals and communities to take a chance and step up and teach the younger kids how to play the beach game, why it's way better than indoor, not only for your body, but, you know, you're in the sunshine outdoors, there's girls around, right? Like the most enjoyable parts of the sport. So I think it is the grassroots organization, and then it's also the AVP America for supporting those, right? Hosting regional events, because some leagues and associations aren't on AVP America. So when these juniors go to play different events, they go down to Florida to play East Coast, they have no points coming into it. And so they're at a distinct disadvantage, right? And so leveling the playing field on the grassroots level is, that was a much more New York.
Yeah, I was going to say, why was yours louder?
Hey, I'm walking here. And,
no, go ahead.
And so I think it's really important on that grassroots level that folks step up in their community and that the AVP backs them and supports them, right? And we don't create more barriers for organizations to jump on AVP America or to jump through the AVP, so that when these kids go to compete, it's more of a neutral playing field versus, you know, the stereotypical, these California kids are at a distinct advantage because they have all the regional events here, right? There's more of a grassroots efforts, and it's more historic versus East Coast players who we've shown can compete at very high levels. They just don't have the opportunity to prove themselves.
Right? Where's Terry's Cannon from, right?
Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York.
The Roch Cannon.
Yeah. Oh my God, she's so good. I'm so glad she won. So glad that her and Sponsor won. They won Hermosa Beach last year.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So, that was an all Scott Davenport finals, right? Theo and Kane won.
Yes, it was.
So big up to Scotty
that was a good one.
On that one. So I'd like to pick up where you left off on my minute. Here's one of the major things I think they can do to help. There has to be this level of inclusiveness. All right, you got this kind of good old boys club out here. To quote Carlin, there's a good old boys club and you're not in it, right? Yeah. So I think, and try not to be a hater here, because this is a pretty cool positive thing. But I would like to see them continue to enlist people who are the best people for the job, right? For example, I'm a color commentator. Let's just talk about me. I'll throw myself out there, right? Dane Blanton, right? Olympic gold medalist, commands respect. Is he a better color commentator than me? No, he's not. Right? He's not a better color. So the certain things that the pedigree that bring you there don't necessarily make you the best person for the job, right? Who's the guy in the AVP America who does the play? Dave Shaw is a savage. Dave Shaw is a savage. I don't care who went to journalism school. I don't care who did that. We need to get people in a room and say, is that the best guy for the job? Yes or no? The answer is yes. And the more they start being more self-honest to who the best guy for the job is, the more inclusiveness they're going to have, and the more inclusiveness you have, you're going to surround yourself with the best people trying to move this product forward. Is that positive enough? Cool. I think so. Yeah, I had to throw myself out there, because this way, if people have a problem, they can just come and get me. You know, he said he's better than Dane. You know, so yeah, come and get me.
Let me ask you something.
Dane, come see me, right? I'm good.
When we were talking earlier, especially about the community part, where you felt you came out here and you felt like you lost that sense of community. Do you think the sense of community is lost when you go from a place like, you're coming from New York, we're coming from Florida. You go from a place where there's aspects of professionalism, but it's not it's not everything, right? Yeah. And then you come out here.
We could finish that one for him. Keep going.
You come out here and it's all like it is everything. The volleyball is everything out here, right? That's for a lot of people, that's true.
Right.
Do you think that the professionalism is what loses out on the community?
All right. So I'll answer for myself first. I came here and the conflicting forces were people telling me to know my place and me telling them I secure my place. So the conflicting forces of knowing your place and securing it is always this internal battle. And once you get your own ash together, then you can go out there and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, right? Because when I moved here, what did I do? I did the same thing I did for you guys this morning. I bought a camera. And I pointed and I started just talking behind the camera. Sooner or later, Casey Jennings was like, that guy's got balls. I want him to work for me, P1440. Next thing you know, I'm doing all the Pepperdine's home games, with Travis and Rob Sparrow and like real journalists. I mean, Travis is one of the best writers in the sport. And Rob commands respect.
For sure.
Big West Championship, Cal Poly, this and that. AVP, New Orleans, that I call center court, when Evan and them won or whatever. Atlantic City, the year before the hot sand. So it's one of those things where I felt like I did everything that was asked of me, and yet, right?
Still on the outside.
Yeah, and so to answer your question, just for me, I feel like I'm singing karaoke, right? And I sang a song and everyone loves it, and they're asking when I'm going to come up and sing next, and then the host keeps calling their people up to sing 2 times, 3 times. You only sang once, and that's kind of how I feel. But I will say this, like Ben Shassel, right? He moved here. He found a community. He found his place in it. Mike Cavateo, right? Yeah. He found his place, right? And they have this foundation where even if whether they're doing a running man, or whether they're moving in they found something. So to answer your question, sometimes you have to find the community because it's there. Yeah. Today, Tuesday and Thursday, they play 4s on
21st.
Yeah,
right?
They play 4s. Yeah,
that's cool.
And I mean, I just went there and I just said hi to some people. Some people knew me, some people didn't, but that was cool. 16th Street was very much like that. Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, big events out here. Greg Faulkner is always calling me saying there's something going on. Greg is Mr. Community. Greg, in fact, is so coincidental. We sing karaoke once or twice a week. So isn't it crazy that the guy who actually has a sense of community is the guy I discovered? Yeah. You know who Greg is?
No.
He's this tall black guy, that 6'8" black guy that played for Northridge. He's the assistant coach there. And all right, I'll just summarize it like this. He's the first guy you asked to play 4s and 6s, and the last guy you asked to play doubles. He's like, wait, he's the middle. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah. I think sometimes you have to create your own, but at the same time, knowing your place and securing your place is always going to be the internal conflicting forces. And for me, my challenge, going back to me, and I'll promise I'll shut up about me because this is about you guys. I just gotta chill. Jason Olive gave it to me, because we've known each other since the 90s. He's a former University of Hawaii star. He's my program director at LEV, Los Angeles Volleyball Club. He says, dude, you're the type of person that you vie for a mansion, right? And then when you finally get the mansion, you pick up a brick and throw it through your own window. He says, because you're so pissed it took so long to get it, Yeah. You're like this guy, right? You're like this wrestler that gets cheated by the ref, and when the ref raises your hand, you clothesline the ref, So that's my challenge. Like, if it's fair, who cares? Life's not fair, right? Don't take that fat kicking and screaming. Keep your nose in the work. And next thing you know, all of these things just fall. Dude, I literally came here with a camera. Well, 19 years experience, but you don't know nobody. Just camera. That guy's full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, that guy's analytical is on point. But now they care enough. So, which is what I'm saying. You guys are in a great spot. You're in the catbird seat as far as being liberated is concerned. So, was that too much?
I like it. I think community is like one of the most important parts of beach volleyball, right? And especially coming from the East Coast, where we're fortunate enough to have a really good training group and support from our sponsor and our team of people that
Lost Traveler, right?
Call a team. Yeah. Shout out Josh Fay and Lost Traveler.
Yes.
I mean, the best sublimated custom gear in the game. He makes so much gear for adult nationals and a ton of beach teams as well.
You're gonna let's plug a site on where I could get one of those, because I'm all about. I started wearing hoodies more here than I've ever worn in my life. So how do I get one of those?
That's on losttraveler.com. You can contact me or Gijay on Instagram. We do fully custom designed shorts, these super light hoodies, which are like UV super light, sun protected as well, with a custom hood. So we do those for teams, indoor beach teams, anybody that wants them. And we also have a discount code for our shorts that we wear as well.
Yeah, for 50%.
And you're going to make a killing, because there's very few companies that sell thin hoodies for guys. They sell plenty of thin hoodies for women, right?
Yeah,
like women are the only one that guys. They want to. I'm like, damn, why don't you put some football pads in this thing, man? I ain't trying to wear this.
This is the I want to hide from the sun in Florida hoodie.
Yeah, that's it.
It's so perfect.
I want to feel cool, but at
Light
the same time, shade this 5 head. I got a 5 head under here, boy. I ain't got a 4 head. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pow, pow. So I didn't put that on film. Yeah, I'll do it. I have my Jufro. That's my Jufro. So actually, let's have a little fun. So I want to do another 1-minute thing on your 3 favorite venues.
Ooh, I like it.
Anytime. I mean, if you're quick about this, we'll just leave time on or whatever. So you go first this time, my man Tyler. Let's go. Your 3 favorite venues that you played in or like to play in. It could be It could be domestic.
Okay.
Or it can be, international.
Yeah, it's not going to be international because I haven't played anywhere. So.
Well, but you will, man.
Definitely not playing in Trinidad. I'll tell you that. And I'm surely not playing in Canada.
Dude, you so will though. You watch. It's going to be the time of your life, dude.
Let's see. Man, I am all right. Denver at the Island.
Wow.
That was we went there for a tour stop last year.
Davenport. Yep.
Awesome.
Tom Davenport. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Tom, that's right.
Yep.
Tom Davenport at the Island. That was a sweet venue, great bar, indoor facility. I'm partial. I'm a, snow winter guy, right? So any place that has indoor and outdoor courts, I'm in. Really fun to play in. I was just at Destin for Fuds. That is an all-time beach. I mean, just the venue at Fuds and the crowds and the party, all of that. Speaking of fours, I was a middle, playing fours out of the middle. We had such a good time. Wearing kilts the whole time. That's a whole story, too. Mm-hmm. Man, another good venue. We were just out at Mesa, Arizona at Skylar Del Sol's facility. The deepest sand I've ever played in. Phenomenal facility. I mean, they have tons of soccer courts, soccer fields, baseball fields, beach volleyball courts. Excellent. Those are probably my favorite 3 recently that I've played.
Okay. Carlos, Guillermo. That's your dad?
That's me, Guillermo.
Okay. What's your dad again?
Eduardo.
Good. I ain't going to say something stupid like Santiago, right? Santiago. No, Eduardo. Yeah. All right, let's go, baby. All you.
So first, probably an event I played last year in Colombia. I had the good fortune of being able to play this event through my dad.
Wow.
And it was an invitational only. And we were, to describe it for people listening, we were in the middle of the city of Medellin, which is surrounded by mountains. So the city itself is basically in the valley. There are houses that kind of go up the mountain, but the majority of life happens in the valley. And we were in an athletic complex that was literally just in the heart of everything. And so you come in, and to your left, there's a swimming complex. To your right, there's indoor soccer. There's so much activity going on, and then right in the middle is this cage, right, of beach volleyball courts. And you're looking down, there's the sand, there's the net, and then all of a sudden your vision just kind of goes up above like the tree lines, and it's mountains like everywhere you look. Oh my God.
Wow.
The cool. Tropical scenery. So that, just based on uniqueness and the special place it has for me, was definitely number 1. I would have to say number 2, way back in the day, I played a tournament at Alki Beach in Seattle. And the uniqueness, again, for me, it's more about the unique stuff.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
So the uniqueness of that beach, where it's right on the lake. The sand is like, it's not deep, but it's also not shallow. It's like this weird in between, because it's more minerally, so it's also very dark. Right. That like you feel like you're in quicksand, but then sometimes if you catch the right bit of sand, then you're like flying.
Jesus.
And
it's like Waupaca after the rain, but go ahead.
Yeah.
What's the third one?
The third one, that's tough. I'd have to say South Beach, Miami.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Chicago.
Chicago's cool, and it definitely has like a special place for me. But I grew up in Miami, and so that the South Beach courts were like where I always looked forward to going, because where I trained was a little bit up north, and that was kind of where I went for my day-to-day. But going to South Beach was special. I took the bus to get down there. I knew it was always going to be good competition.
You could just drive up to the beach too. That's the way of life in South Beach.
Yeah.
South Beach, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Those unique venues where like
Yeah.
you're playing beach volleyball, but you're not at the beach. So like when I played up in Vail, you got the mountains, right? In Columbia, you got the mountains, or Chicago, you have the skyline in the background.
Yeah.
Those seem to be
New York City too.
the same thing. I wish I could have played those New York City. It was at Pier 39 or whatever it was.
Pier
right?
25.
Pier 25. Yeah.
But man, they built the last year they were there. They used the Pier 25 for the qualifier, but then they built a facility next to Chelsea Piers, built 3 man-made courts. And accessibility wise, people just get off the L train, they get off the A train or whatever, and they walk the 2 blocks across the street. Boom. Where like Pier 25 was a little bit of an adventure, as was Pier 6. It's nice to get to, but it was a little bit adventurous to get to. But that new facility is right there, and the crowd was just galvanizing. So let me do my 3, because it's weird, because you would think, because the last time I did this, I had New York City in mind, but I'm not doing New York City this year because I'm too predictable. So let's start with mine. 1, Hermosa Beach, California. I just love being home. I am home, dude. It was when Crab versus Crab first meeting on the major court. That was just electric, and that was like sold out. That was more crowded than the actual finals, because they met twice. It was also the first tournament that I coached a team where I felt like I had to do some real work. I coached a team into the main draw. It was Earl Schultz and Jacob Rudia.
Oh yeah.
And I've coached teams into the draw before, but that was the first time I felt like I didn't feel like an imposter in a tent. I'm like, y'all could kiss my, because it took real work to get. I had to beat Evan Corey and Valela to get in. So, second venue, I love me some New Orleans. I love this old school virtue where people hold the chair, for women, hold the door. They say sir, they say ma'am, and they whip up a mean steak, right? Not to mention just the night lights. Calling night lights. It was Rafa Rodriguez and Piotr Marciniak against Corey and Weber. Night lights. And the rain finally stopped, and just boom. And the third one, everyone thinks I'm going to say New York City, and New York City is on the normal days in there, but because you inspired me, I'm going to go Motherlode.
Yeah.
Motherlode, Aspen, Colorado. Ladies and gentlemen, where's my camera? Switching. If you can afford it, all right? Because this is not for broke. This ain't for broke ass people, all right? True. If you can afford it, you go there. It looks like the combination of Holland and Santa Fe. Like you said, there's these gluttonous mountains, just fat mountains.
Aspen?
Aspen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a Motherlode. I was emceeing there. It was the first time I ever I got to MC, because I've only been a color commentator and a play-by-play guy, and I'm like, wait, I can do that, because when you study acting, you feel like you can do anything. I could be a doctor. I could, yeah, sure. So wow, a great conversation about some of these venues, but the most fascinating was the one you were talking about, right? It's just kind of like, he's like, I want to get, this guy's like, I want to go.
My leg is cramping.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
All right. So let me take the camera off of you.
Dang. Yeah, we're working on getting to Columbia. At some point, we'll get out there and play a tournament. Him and his dad have so many connections out there, and they're growing the volleyball scene as well. So that would be a really cool opportunity. As well as for me, I have a full-time job, and this is kind of a passion on the side, So anytime that we go and travel somewhere, it's always, let's focus on the volleyball. But then if volleyball doesn't go great, then, just enjoy the travel part of it as well. And Columbia's been on my list of places that I'd love to get to as well.
One of my favorite players in New York City, I have a friend, Mario Gonzalez. He's the biggest Colombian you've ever seen. He's like 6'8". Had him play opposite. He played for Creo for a long time. He lives in New York City. Played a little bit of beach, but I'm like, man, And some of the venues out there, he was showing me pictures, and I was like, wow, a little first class setup there, you know?
Yeah.
I've been to Hawaii because I was John Mayer's director of operations at LMU, his assistant, and we had to play U of H. So me and my wife made, like you said, sometimes you just make a vacation out of it.
That's it.
Came 3 days ahead of time, you know, went to Turtle Bay and then hit up
Yeah.
Waikiki Beach and this and that.
We did that last year too in
Yeah.
we did that last year too in Denver. We went out early and had a really good time, like hiking around, enjoying the volleyball. Awesome volleyball community out there as well too.
Y'all switching seats?
Yeah, because I gotta stand. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep cramping.
Ooh, this is nice.
Oh my God, he's in the catbird seat. Let's just go around. This poor guy got a cramp.
Yeah, I'll be kind of half squatting.
That's
funny
fun.
enough. Speaking of cramping in volleyball, this is a good conversation.
Please.
Manhattan Beach was my first time cramping last year ever in my volleyball career.
Lord, yeah.
And we cramped against John Hyden and Logan in our third match of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Man. And our first main draw.
Mm-hmm.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough first one to cramp in, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, that was a hell of a tournament for you guys, right? Look, you figured out after the first match.
Yeah.
I was coaching against you guys. That was actually the first time I physically seen you guys play together. I knew you a little bit about you, knew a lot bit about you, because I have friends from Florida. You know, New York. That's the vacation spot. Where here, Hawaii is a vacation spot, right?
Yeah.
New York, you don't go to Hawaii. You don't fly all the way out here.
Yeah.
You go to Jamaica. You go to Florida. So I knew about you, and knew recently about you. So when I played you guys, and we won the first set, I told Jeff and Chris Vaughn, I said, look, be ready. This is not the team that goes away when you smack them the first set. Because I was looking at some of your games where you guys lost the first set. And what? Game decided by 2, right? All of these, whether you lost or won, you always drag people in the deep water where you guys were comfortable swimming. And if they're comfortable swimming too, it was going to be a very interesting ending. And from my end, I only made one coaching error. I thought, we're at 14-12 game 3, right? You got to side out. What I did not know is that the AVP rules allow the coach to tell the players, like, you're not allowed to coach, but you are allowed to tell the players to call timeout. We had the timeout. We're not saving it for a rainy day, right? So ideally, 13-14, you want to call timeout, and I'd be like, Chris, let's run this back set. Or Chris, let's create your string on the inside like you're going to back set, and then just, do a little win ball set, and maybe we finish that way. Because I had some ideas what you were going to do. I knew you were going to 2-block or 4-block switch unless it was tight, and you're just going to go after the ball. You were going to 2 and sit. You're going to, instead of 4-block switch, you were going to 2 and sit. So I knew what they were going to do, and I was just like, I don't want this referee yelling at me. And then I found out later, no, you can do that, right?
Can we watch the end of that match?
Yeah.
That was a hell of
Let's
a
do
match.
it. But I was, the ref's like, you can do that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
he says, I'm surprised you're a coach. You're supposed to know that. I'm like, how am I supposed to know that, dude? And I was like, well, it's been a rule for 2 years. And I said, wait, so you did the rule in 2020, the pandemic.
Yeah, when nobody's
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Why don't y'all miss me on
when
that?
they were all in Zoom meetings coming up with new rules.
Oh no. Let me see if I can fix your mic. You are mic 3?
Me? Hey. That sounds better.
Oh yeah, right?
That sounds crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we got there from a really good finish in Waupaca.
Yeah.
So we had a really tough time in Denver. All that work and preparation that we did, showing up early, all the practices and the support from the Denver community and training, all that. Volleyball didn't go our way that day, right? And then the next tournament, we bounced back in Waupaca. We have his support from all the Lewis guys. All of his Chicago people came out to Waupaca and supported us, and we played so much volleyball and beat some really good teams over a few days. And that finish of 5th place got us a trickle down for the Manhattan Beach bid, and that was the pinnacle and kind of the peak of last season. That was really cool.
Yeah, playing some of your best volleyball at the right time, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Played at Lewis?
Yeah.
That's
Graduated
Lewis is
just 3 years ago now.
Yeah, this is another reason why people think I'm a hater. Like, I tell people the MPSF is not even the second best division anymore. Like, if you look at it's been the decade of the repeat champions, as I'm pulling up this thing for you guys. So the last 10 years are what? Like before, this is UCLA, right? But previously it was Hawaii, Long Beach State, Ohio State, Loyola Chicago. One of those is against Lewis, right? And the all MIVA finals.
Yep.
And then Irvine, and then Ohio State. So basically 6 of your last 12 championships are Big West or, right?
Demiva.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, Stanford's 14-12. They made the MPSF finals twice. What does that say about that division, right? When USC finally won one, I don't know what the hell Jeff Nygaard's doing out there. He had like 2 winning seasons in like 8 years, you know. He's like, they're like, Jason, you got to carry the water on this one for us. We ain't saying nothing.
I was gonna say, I don't even know what indoor volleyball is, dude. I don't follow it.
No, but
I don't care.
I knew.
Beach guy through and through.
Well, I watched Lewis a few years ago, when they won the NCAA's. They won the NCAA's in 2002.
Yeah.
And then 2003,
Right.
Hawaii won.
Right.
So what do we got here? I got a little freeze frame on this. That sucks. Why is it chopping? All right, that's better.
Damn, that's my headshot from
All right, so
SUNY
this is
Oswego
13-12.
D3 women's volleyball right there.
All right,
That's
so
my
this is
mustache
14-12.
Yeah.
And I remember this well. I think Jeff hit the net.
picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Highline
the dig.
Highline dig.
Yes.
That's the highline dig.
That's the dig that
I
should
never
have
hit a
got.
highline
So
too.
here,
That's crazy.
so here's where I'm like, I got to call timeout. Let's just look at them. They're not. You're not even. They're not even ready.
This was a
to do it.
grind of a match. This was
Yes,
a long match.
but they don't even look ready to get back on the court. And I think you got an ace here, right?
Let's see.
Oh, wow. It was an easy dig too. Well, not easy, but no, I mean
That's a
speed
nice
wise,
shot.
not. But like your positioning.
Yeah. I was in the right spot.
Yeah,
Such a good shot too.
But it's an oceanside set, right? And he's not creating his string in and out. He's going out and in. So you knew anything that goes this way wouldn't have power. So you sat for power. He had a high enough block where the line over was giving you enough time. You'll see it on this next play. Everyone's watching it with us. Cool. I like it.
Dude, we had a good crowd for this.
We did.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
The California volleyball, you really get a good crowd.
Family, all
That's
ages
awesome.
too, man.
So
Two of my
cool.
kids who play club for me call we're ball girls for this. See what I meant?
Yeah.
See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I want to rewind that. Oh, go back 5 seconds. So watch this. He's going out and in. So you know he's got his only power shot is something that you had to sit on.
Yep.
I think you get a block here.
Yep. And that was the first time they ran a backside. I was telling them to run a backside all game, and then when he finally runs, when it gets blocked, they look at me. I'm like, dude. I'm like, all right, sure, that's my fault. I'll take the L on that one. So now they call timeout.
5-4 timeout.
Yeah,
That was a huge point.
And that's a different situation because now the timeout, you guys have momentum.
Yeah.
That's it.
At 13-14, either we have it or it's a coin toss. So let's go finish. Let's just finish what we're watching here.
Yeah, we switch fives.
Oh, you did.
Yep.
Let's see that.
Yep.
Wow.
That was one that trickled under me.
Caught you on the way down too. Like the end of your penetration was kind of like this and then that.
Right in the right
Let's
arm.
go back.
All I remember from this match is the match point is
It's gnarly.
exactly where I wanted to kill Guille and then just hug and kiss him afterwards because he made up for it in the end. But it's so good.
It's all part of the plan.
It's all part of the plan.
Dude, I was the busiest man in America. I was working the scoreboard remote control on this one too.
That is a sweet setup you got too, by
Yes.
the way. It's pretty sick. I saw that for the first time in person. Nice shot.
There it is. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is the. Hold on. Let me show this guy. This is the game of inches. Look at that, man. You got to fight
Dude.
for every inch.
There's ice. I'm telling you, there's ice in there, dude. Gamer,
Wow.
there's ice.
Man, how that could go another way.
Oh, for
Here
sure.
we go.
By an inch, if that.
Test it out.
Just
Oh my
barely,
God.
too.
Oh, wow.
Just barely.
So wait, it wasn't 1816. It was 1917.
No, it would have been 8-6 because we get this.
Oh, it was 8-6. Okay. So one apiece off the switch then, right?
Yep.
15-15?
Yeah.
Hell, to hell with it. Let's watch the rest. We owe it to
Oh,
ourselves.
that's a double.
Wow.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
We got two really good refs in this game, by the way. John King and Matt is the down ref here as well. Yep. They gave us the A crew, which was cool.
And I got to tell you that not enough nice things are said about the AVP reps. They've been fantastic.
Can we parking lot that? I want to talk about AVP
yes.
reps. Yeah.
We will. Well, last time I had two people in studio, we literally called a ref.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
We had him answer
some
tough questions. Yeah. It was John. It was Carson, East Coast guy, New Hampshire guy.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Look at the over balance. On one, picks it up.
Oh, chick, I'm
PJ
stylish.
Makes the high line dig.
Get out! Come on!
And then puts his ball away.
Oh!
That's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to kill him, because it's such an easy ball.
Yes.
And, I mean, yeah, that was very cool.
Dude, hold up. I want to see him go horizontal again.
Yeah. I mean, Vaughn, too, though. Yeah. The hustle dig, right? 18, 16, or 17.
Dude, this is like Side Out the movie. Right? That rally at the end.
And then the shot, too, to put it away.
Well,
yeah.
I shouldn't say Side Out, because you ever see the movie Side Out?
Oh, yeah.
Great movie, teaching you technique, you respect the sport. And what do they do at the end?
Yeah.
This 360.
Yeah. The chunk. Yeah, absolute chunk.
I can't believe they went through all of that to get us to respect beach volleyball. And then you do the C. Thomas Howell.
How did they take out the beach volleyball scene in the new Top Gun movie, too?
Yeah.
Brutal. Who plays beach football?
Nobody.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, that's not a sport we're going to see.
Bad for the growth of the sport. Yeah, that's right. All right.
So let's talk about these reps.
Let's talk officials. So I grew up as a hockey referee and a baseball umpire. Those are my first two jobs. I got my working papers when I was 12, and so I started getting yelled at by coaches when I was young, right? Our AVP officials take a lot of, from players, from spectators, from commenters, from hecklers, all over the place, right? I think the AVP, every player that I know, about hands, they lifts, they're complaining about calls, whatever. But you don't know what it's like until you get up on the stand and go ref a game, right? People don't like reffing or keeping score in general in qualifiers because they don't want to get yelled at by other guys, right? And so I think the AVP needs to bring more feeder officials into the system, start reffing collegiate games, and grow that grassroots level, because we need younger officials to be able to understand the sport.
We only got 3.
That's it. Ice hockey did this. They took the best juniors players that didn't make it past a certain level, and they said, we're going to make you an official, and we'll pay you good money to do it, because you know the game, you understand the speed of the game, and the spirit of the game. Right? And those are such really important, crucial things to making a good official. If you understand the game, you can ref it. And right now, I think we need more referees, both in the AVP and also at the collegiate level as well, that can call the game and understand it, especially if we want to grow boys volleyball like we're talking about.
Thoughts?
I mean, I think he's spot on. I think
you're going to need some of that mic.
Ooh. Hello. All right, there we
go.
Yeah, exactly like he was saying. I mean, one of the hardest things to get your head around is that you don't know what it's like until you're in the seat. You're in someone's shoes, and then you understand.
No doubt.
But I mean, at the same time, I think that these people are doing the best that they can, but they're not getting the support that they need, and so it's like they're the middleman in between two opposing forces, right? The players that want the highest level of officiating possible, and the organizations that are hiring them, that want them to be available, that want them to pay them a certain rate,
right?
All that stuff. And they're caught in the middle of these two opposing forces where it's like, okay, this player and these players want me to be at the highest possible reffing standard, but I literally just got into volleyball, or because the organization was short on people and they needed somebody last minute because they don't have this deep pool of talented referees to pull from. So it's like, it's not their fault, obviously. It's not these individual people's fault that the reffing is the way it is, however you feel about it. But
because they're taking time out of their day and lives
Yeah.
to travel to places to ref volleyball.
Yeah,
No doubt.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to expect them to give more than they are already doing, right? Than what they're already giving us, which is all we want is consistency from refs with all the calls and for them to try their hardest, right?
Yeah, and they're doing that. Yep.
And anything after that is fine. Everybody's going to make mistakes. There's going to be missed doubles. There's going to be lifts that are missed and line shots when you have one referee on the stand and you expect him to call a game at the highest level, right?
Yeah.
It's not feasible. But at the same time, if the AVP doesn't have money to support those referees, then it's somewhat of a losing effort as well. So, you really do see both sides here, but I'd really love to see more younger officials and specifically players that aren't chasing the dream to get into refereeing.
Right. Yeah.
Because you can make money and watch volleyball. Like what's better than that?
Look, there's gonna be a play where two people go up and the net shakes, right?
Yeah.
And the call you make, someone's not gonna be happy about that.
But what's the unwritten rule on players?
If you don't see it, don't say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
Do you expect players to make honor calls at the highest level when we're competing for prize money that is low or not even guaranteed as it is?
Well,
what's the standard?
But that's when leagues come into play. Look, here's the thing. Yeah. Like CBVA, to their credit, literally wrote into their rules, you're not allowed to receive serve with your hands. Because receiving serve with your hands has never been illegal. It's only been illegal to double it, and it's only been illegal to carry it.
Yep.
But because they don't have referees refereeing their games, most of the CBVA tournaments, are ref by the players. To their credit, wrote it into our rules, just don't do it at all. Ain't nothing to argue about. Case closed, right? We were just talking about Pottstown Rumble, right? That's a side-out game to 15. Right? It's if it hits the top of the tape, ball's dead, right? That's the rules. Connecticut, a lot of the tournaments in Connecticut, they wrote into their rules, if the ball turns the whole time, 1 1/4 times, it's a double. They judge it by rotation. FIVB, a double's a double. And they call it the way I believe all refs should call it. Double's how it comes in, not how it comes out. Here on the West Coast, you're looking at how it comes out, and then you hear a whistle blow, where it's really about how it comes in. So on a universal level, I would like for everybody to get on board with the FIVB because, especially for men, because, dude, we ain't got no say in the matter anymore. We don't even have a team in the top 10. We don't even have a team in the top 15 right now, right? The women, they've already learned how to do that in high school, like you said, in the NCAA. There are more women hand setters than we have ever seen in we're different generations. In my lifetime, you and yours, you will never see that many hand setters.
I'll play devil's advocate. Please. I've seen some of the hand setting in the NCAA. Man, they
1001, 1002.
Yeah, and even today at the Norsecas too, there are
I wish I had a ball. I was gonna be
there are a lot of sets that people are grabbing and throwing the ball, and it's cool when Justin Phipps does it down in Florida because he's an old head, right? And he can take it in and push it back out and throw it around. But some of these younger guys that are really grabbing the ball,
I like
especially
how you
with the new offense too, it's troublesome because I know that the old school volleyball guys are just rolling in their grave.
All right,
Like
I got a camera shot. Show me how. See, look at the camera.
You want me to handset? Everybody wants me to get called for. I'm a big guy. Come on now, everybody wants me to get called for handsets.
As soon as you put your hands up, the referee is inhaling.
They want it. They expect it too, right? But
I like how you mentioned Phipps though, because just like basketball players get that foul call, the ticky tacks, and they're at the free throw line. Phipps has earned it though. Phipps is a vet, man, and is to be respected. Justin Phipps, man, I hope.
Fun fact.
He's someone I'd love to have on the podcast.
Dude, he's awesome. You totally. So, fun fact, my first AVP qualifier was in 2018.
Okay.
I lost against Justin Phipps and Shane Welsh, who's now our strength coach, by the way, who's a phenomenal strength coach. He develops amazing programs for athletes in South Florida, really doing some awesome stuff. And that was my first ever qualifier with Steve Garner in Chicago. So, Chicago's a special place for me. And then I waited a full, I think it was 4 years before I played my next one.
It's true.
I think your point was huge though about the consistency of the reffing from leagues to AVP to FIVB to regional tournaments. Because I can't say that I know all the effort that goes into that kind of change across the board.
Yeah.
But to me, that seems like an easier fix and something that looks more appealing to the organizations than, hey, we got to hire more or we got to pull more. What if we, at least as a short-term fix, we just have the refs that we have, train them better, or put just a little more effort into training them, and then, okay, we are shorthanded on refs, but they're good refs. They're great. Like they're consistently good, because as much as we as players want to be great, like the winningest players are consistently great, right?
Nice. Yep, they are.
So as officials and players looking at officials, it's great if like they make an amazing, like they see the smallest touch, right? They without a camera, they pick up the smallest touch. That's great. But then if they miss an obvious double call or an obvious lift call, then it's like, okay, like what are we doing here?
Yeah, I think when a ref misses an obvious doubles call, they're just punching themselves awake.
Yeah.
I used to train refs in New York for the New York Lawyers League. And I would train players who want to, who are trying to make, they were giving them like $100 a night just to ref like 3 matches, and Lawyers League, they forfeit like a mother freaker. So really you're playing, you got a whole match where you're just practicing your serve and setting each other. So you got a whole match you're getting paid for. Yeah. So what I would teach these guys is, if you don't see it, don't say it. And that it is very, very, very important that if they do that. The second thing is, like you said, ref as much as you can. Just like we were talking about hands, and juniors or whatever, you're not going to get better at something by not doing it. True. So like you said, get a training log, whatever, and get a bigger sample size to build your portfolio and this and that. Like juniors, we had tournaments out here where they were called no hands tournaments, meaning that we're not going to call your hands. Yeah. And it was like 12s to 14s or 12s to 15s or something like that. Yeah. We sponsored them as beach volleyball national events. That was Endless Summer. That was the partnership. So, and that was great. And like you said, I'd like to get a little rid of a little bit of that Pizza Hut
deep dish.
Yeah, or that FBI catch and release. Yeah. I'd like to get rid of a little bit. I understand for juniors, because you're trying to teach them the teaching tool of how it's supposed to come into your hands. But then at some point there has to be not this discontinuation. There has to be this fluidity that comes with the prettiness of actual hands.
So what do you think about, and I'll ask both you guys this, in support of a fun and exciting volleyball game, jump setting, jump back, jump quicks, right? Jump push to the pin. Yeah. Do you allow a little bit more flexibility with the hands in order to promote a better, more exciting product, right? Everybody wants to watch the Swedish guys play.
The good thing about the Swedish guys are they train day and night to make sure their hands are clean. Yeah, sure. People they have this comparison, like quick release means some spin. Watch some of their games. Oh, yeah. You don't see it a lot of they're doing this, and you don't see any spin on those sets. So it's weird, because there's this unofficial agreement with the referees that if your release is fast, they'll forgive some spin.
Sure.
Side spin, they got to do what they got to do, right? Side spin suggesting one hand out the other, they might call it double. Yeah. But you see some forward and this and that, and if it's released, boom, whatever. And I actually like that rule. If you're a deep disher and you like this old school rule, then you have the refs are kind of calling you by your own principle, right? And it's like his spawn, and I'm like, but you caught yours. Yeah. So great video, St. John Smith. I had a 4-minute interview. It's on YouTube, and didn't think it'd do that well. Had like 150,000 views. I think everybody wanted to see what he had to say, because his partner Randy was one of the best setters. I don't know how far back you guys go to 90s nostalgia or 80s or whatever, but
those matches are so fun.
I've been down the YouTube rabbit hole
once
or twice.
You have,
Once you see that Fila fit, and you're like, how much did you get paid to wear that? The Fila sponsorship, like, damn, that was some colorful attire.
Yeah.
All right, so actually, let's explore there.
Okay.
What's one of your favorite players you watched, that you either emulate or you enjoyed watching growing up? Go ahead, buddy.
Oh.
Let's go, Carlito.
Definitely Todd Rogers, and then close second, Karch Karai.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Karch Karai had the all-around game. Like, just everything he did.
This guy's basically God.
Everything he did was just amazing. But then the time that I was coming up just so happened to be the same time that Todd was starting to dominate with Phil. And another point, beach volleyball footage started to become more available on YouTube. Just consistently posting and people creating channels to host the videos. So I started to see a lot more beach volleyball, just period. But that was that same time that, like I said, Todd and Phil were just dominant. And so
that was a great team, right? People talks about Phil being one of the more dominant players, but he hasn't been on the podium since Todd. I mean that's a guy who had to side out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was before Phil started optioning, right? So really that was more Todd than Phil. I mean, well, no, I won't say that because Phil would be down 6-0, and if he didn't get an ace, he got a block. And I'm like, you blink 60 seconds. Yeah. It's 6-6. Yeah. The guy was just down 6-0. That was literally in the Olympics. He was down 6-0, and then ace. Oh, I'm just gonna. Okay, you're passing. I'm blocking you. Yeah. Got an ace. Oh, you're not gonna get ace that one. I'm blocking you. Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
The appeal for me was always for Todd was always that his nickname, the Professor. Like, as someone who's not the tallest, the fastest, the strongest, right? I know my strengths. I know what I'm good at. I'm not downplaying my abilities, but I'm also not like a lot of the other guys that are on tour or competing at this level. And so once I knew that this guy won a lot of his games and his style of play was because of how intelligent he was and how he analyzed the game and how he constructed the game, I knew that in order to be successful at a high level, that was something that I was going to have to emulate. And in my own way, but the aspect of not just playing the game, but playing the game within the game was something that I learned from him, watching him. So that's why.
Can you appreciate how he let the game come to him? Mm-hmm. Can you appreciate how watching this man play a match did not require a lot of moves, a lot of diving, didn't require this dynamic, beat the world, physical performance. He allowed, basically what he would say is he cut a foot off each, he'd shave a foot off each side of the court. And if you're perfect, you beat him. And if you're anything less than perfect, you're going to lose. John Mayer has also similarly taken that approach. Like, John will move if you need to, but the guy looks like, he walks like a sand crab, you know. Actually, all the crabs walk like sand crabs too, and it's crazy because when they need to move, it's like boom, they're gone. You know. How about you?
I got into volleyball later in life, so I started playing indoor when I was like 15, 16. I grew up playing ice hockey, and then I started playing beach when I was probably 21, 22. Okay. And I'm 28 right now, so I'm like really, really late on it, and so really my volleyball idol growing up was Phil, right? Because that's the GOAT in my opinion. And just watching him dominate at that level and being able to do it so consistently was just incredible. But watching back some now into like the 90s film, right? Like Kent Steffes and watching his compete level on the court and
one of the biggest competitors.
Dude, so fun to watch. And another talking about YouTube rabbit hole and Karch, him pulling down the net in Rhode Island is still one of my favorite videos.
Oh my
that shit is
God.
So
what Karch? Karch hulked up?
Yeah.
I can't find it.
Are you kidding?
I could find Todd losing his mind because that pops up
on YouTube
all the time. When Todd goes,
right? It always
dude, when he yells at that and the ref and Stad.
Female ref,
Are you kidding me? Yeah. Why did I let this chick ref? She sucks.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah. So I think definitely Phil was the guy for me as a big skinny guy who got into volleyball late in life. I mean, that's pretty much the story of Phil, right? Like somebody dragged him out to play and he was like, yeah, this looks fun.
There's also something really cool about Phil where he didn't need to be this big personality. He's very much like Karch. His game, he allowed his game to do the talking, right?
Yeah.
People think he's not this intriguing character and he's this kind of this boring dude, and that might be true or false. We don't know. We don't care, except people who had him on the podcast. You're like, all right, he is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good, that's an interesting choice, because maybe that says something about you. You like players that let their play do the talking.
I like players that win.
Yeah,
that's it.
But since win is winning not enough, right?
For me, it's find a way to make the ball hit the sand.
All right,
and get more points than the other team.
I found one of them, so I got to do it.
Let's go.
We got to do it. It's Todd losing his mind.
Oh, this is so good. Polish.
Yes, we got to do it. We got it. We brought it up, right? So it would be.
You got sound on this?
Yes.
Oh, I've watched this so many times. That like vuvuzela thing in the background. Yeah.
We gotta wait till it gets to the camera.
Yeah.
It don't mean nothing to it.
Yeah.
We see the best part. It's right here.
And
Why would you put this chick up here? She sucks!
Yeah. I just heard that in the latest Sandcast podcast, dude. They're like, always know where the camera is. And Todd knew where the freaking
But I
camera
can't
was.
find Karch. I'm trying to find Karch.
Oh, it's on there.
Loses his
Karch,
mind.
Rhode Island. Yeah.
And I think it was because the ref called a touch on the block. They called 4 hits, and then the next play, he lost. That was the match point in the match.
Yep.
And that dude, I'm like, why the hell is everybody yelling at Serena? Losing her mind on a ref when they let Karch. I mean, because the net was attached to the referee stand. The ref had to jump off.
The ref,
he had to jump
He
the
bailed.
F off. Yep.
He
So
completely bailed.
the player I grew up emulating was Steve Timmons, indoor guy. He had spiky hair and this kinky bush. It was, as much as I tried, it wasn't going to happen. But there's something about Karch where he was a goofy foot, then an interchangeable, and then the traditional approach. Always trying to find ways to make better versions of himself. 88 Olympics, Bob Stavrickly got best passer because no one served Karch because Karch was better. I mean, what are you going to do, right? And then I got to see him in Madison Square Garden. AVP had a one match, 2 out of 3. Right. Madison Square Garden, AJ and Loyola against Karch and Steffens.
wow.
That's on YouTube.
Probably
also.
like 12,000 people.
that.
It was sold out.
Yeah.
It was like 12,000 people in there. And that was, talk about the boom period for volleyball. Like the glory days, or you see old school on Facebook, right? That back in the day stuff. That's what they're talking about, man. So Karch, but as far as like competitive nature, I really like Dane Blanton. Dane came on the podcast and he shared this story where they played Portugal in the semifinals and side out to 15. So it takes 45, 50 minutes to get to 10-10.
Wow.
45 minutes to get to 10 up. So Fenoy hits a ball wide, and then they call timeout. They take too long to get back. The referee, instead of giving him a yellow, skips the yellow,
to red.
goes to red. So now it's not just 11-10, it's now 12-10 after all that work you put in.
Yeah.
And, they flip out a little bit like, you're kidding, and this and that. But so Dane goes back to the service line. He goes ace, position 1, boom. Wrist away, ace, position 4 or 5 or whatever, indoor, what have you. Line jumps us in. Pass, Fenoy gets a block. So now they're up 13-12. The next play, poke dig on the jumbo, transition kill, Dane. Last play, ace down the middle. So in a crazy way, the call, which really should have screwed them momentum-wise, which should have had the US say, oh, we got screwed or this or that. And the moral of the story is, and the reason why I'm a big fan of his, the moral of the story is if he lost because of that, we got it, right? We understand. You got screwed. Or you could go the other way.
Yeah.
And he went the other way. That's a savage. And that's not a guy who's like a long-time AVP player. That's just a guy who won an Olympic gold medal. He won the AVP crown, and he won the NCAA championship as a player and a coach. No other player holds that distinction. He's the only male player that holds it. Not even Karch holds that distinction. So I'm a big fan of his. He's not talked about a lot because I guess he's not. Yeah. He's maybe not that guy, right?
Yeah.
But so I want to do 2 more things, and I'm glad you guys wore thin hoodies today, man. Because I don't know if you were warned about this podcast. It could start boiling in here, man.
It's a little steamy.
So yeah, that's how I stay skinny, guys. this is
throwing
my
out some
freaking
spicy
sauna.
takes.
Yeah, dude. If you fight in the UFC, you trying to cut weight, just come have a podcast with me, all right?
Yeah.
Ortega, Brian, come through, man. You live in Redondo. Fabrizio Verdum, come through. So let's play a little game.
Okay.
I want you to tell me one thing you thought he showed significant improvement the last 12 months. And then you're going to tell him one thing you want to do better. And then vice versa. So start with you. What's one thing you thought Tyler's showed significant improvement on and off the court? So you're a creative mind, so I definitely wouldn't want you to limit your imagination. So the floor is yours.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Oh hell no, that's a great question. Give me one thing, man.
I'm ready. I got mine.
I would say his approach to the mental game, because I think for something that I've not only come to learn but come to understand about Tyler is that like his background to the sport is very different from my own and very different from what I'm used to in opponents and teammates, whatever. He's someone who came into the sport late in life and didn't have as competitive of a background to where he understood what it takes and what is necessary from a mental standpoint to play a sport at a high level, right? Because you when you see someone, you only see the skills, right? Unless you're really looking, really understanding what to look for, that you understand, okay, the reason that he executed on this was because of this mental thing. But something that we actually had to have a conversation about. This was like kind of one of those conversations like, hey, things aren't working. What's going on? And it was on a long car ride that all we had to do was just talk. And this kind of came up. And I think he really was very receptive to what kind of I had to say. And since then, I've seen him make real progress, and I've seen him put a lot of effort into it, which is really good to see, because as someone in a partnership, like, you can only do so much in terms of like having your partner be doing the same amount of training, be doing the same amount of lifting, be doing the same amount of outside work. You can only go with them so far. So like to know that he understands what is required now, and he's doing his best to find how he can meet those requirements in his own way. That I think that's something that I've really enjoyed.
Oh, pretty cool. So one area where you'd like to show some improvement in?
Mm-hmm. I think it is the mental and physical side of volleyball. Like taking it as a job, right? It's volleyball is very fun. That's how we all ended up in this situation, right? You found a love for it, and you kind of kept playing. But to reach a higher level of volleyball, it takes not only the dedication in the gym, but also the mental side as well. So I think kind of the mental side is something that I'm working on, to where like working on breathing techniques during the game, right? When you're getting fatigued, how do you manage through tough situations? When you get a bad call from a ref, how do you manage those situations? Do you get mad at the ref? Do you get mad at your partner? Do you get mad at the other team?
Wow.
Understanding your own mental headspace and digging more into that of why did I feel that way at that point? Why did I get angry? Why did I start talking shit about the other team, right? Or why did I start chirping through the net? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I love talking shit when I play volleyball. I mean,
yeah,
it's just,
why not? Yeah.
It's something that I think is
That's
part of the
sports.
game,
Yeah.
and
That's
it's like
sports
the
in general.
competitive side in sports in general, right? So I think that mental side, both on the court and off the court, and approaching it like it's almost like a full-time job. So, we train twice a week. We go to the gym 3 times a week. You go to yoga, you practice your breathing techniques, all that like mumbo jumbo, right? Like it makes a difference in your performance if you want to approach it as a competitive athlete who takes it seriously like a job, because otherwise it's just a hobby.
And let's be real,
So,
like for the people that don't understand how the sport works, we're trying to treat beach volleyball as a full-time job, while also for the majority of people trying to maintain a full-time job. And so when you look at other sports where they came up through this pipeline and the entire time all they've had to do is worry about their sport, then yes, it's still difficult to hold a full-time job. I'm not denying that.
Right.
But when that's all you've had to do, that's very different from understanding that you have to take care of this full-time job and also do all these things that are the requirements of your other full-time job that is the sport of beach volleyball. That's a really difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's something that as a partnership and as like kind of up and coming players, we've had to figure out as we go, because that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, it requires discipline.
Yeah.
It does. So for you, what's one thing you saw where he showed significant improvement the last 12 months?
So Guijay's always been a natural volleyball player. He's understand the tendencies of the game. He understands what to do in certain situations. His dad's a coach, right? He's imparted his wisdom not only on the people that he coaches with private lessons and coaching at B-Volley and all the coaching he does, but the biggest improvement for him has been his work off the court. So his work in the weight room. I mean, this guy, he works harder than anybody else that I know in the sport right now, and is really getting after it with the help of our strength coach, Shane Welsh, who's really been phenomenal and developed a really great program. So, I mean, he was coaching, working a full-time job, practicing, and then also hitting the gym like crazy, you know? So I think his improvement,
Like
you
a
can tell. I mean, he doesn't wear a shirt when he plays. You can tell this guy means business when he's on the court right now, and we're built for long, grueling matches to where we will grind out teams and have more grit and win more points. And that's kind of something that we take as like a point of pride between ourselves. Like, we will run down any ball. He lays out like, you know, full sprawl, right? And so I think the work that he's done in the gym and then also on the mental side, you know, because he's always had the physical ability to play the game at a high level, but now it's just continuing to up our level as a team. I think that's kind of been the biggest, and most obvious improvement, just looking at him and his stature, right?
One thing where you want to show improvement?
I think the biggest thing that kind of sticks out for me is consistency from the standpoint of how I approach anything that I'm doing on the court. Do I want to not on the court, anything that I'm doing with the sport. Do I want to have a great day lifting and then where I finish the entire program, I really take my time, super detail oriented, in all the lifts, in the tempos, in the breathing, all that stuff, right? Super detail oriented. And then because of that, go to bed late, wake up late, trying to get the proper amount of sleep, and then
That's so important.
the next day that I'm trying to lift, I now all of a sudden find myself with a shorter amount of time, and I don't get the same kind of lift I did the day before, right? And then I'm feeling a sense of guilt from not being as efficient or productive or just about the feeling of the lift overall, right? And this is just one thing. It can apply to multiple things. Versus I could also have the standpoint of, okay, I have this amount of time. Let me get as much of the workout done as possible as well as I can, while still honoring the fact that if I get this done in time, then tomorrow I'll have the same exact amount of time to do it, and I'll be able to do the majority of the lift to the best of my ability consistently, right? And like I said, this is one thing you could extrapolate and be like, okay, playing wise, I had a great day. Tomorrow, I didn't recover.
Not so much.
Yeah, right. And even from point to point, I just made a great play, and then I got caught out of a position because I was cheating, right?
Yeah.
And versus, okay, maybe I not necessarily maybe I don't make that play, but like my goal isn't to make the insane play. It's to wear the team down by being consistently good in the small things.
I like that. Before we go to the lightning rounds, I want to say something nice about the both of you guys based on this small sample size. Thing I like about you is when you're going out for some of these balls, you're not just trying to touch them. You're like, how can I touch them and remain in system? So you went probably from someone who knows they can pursue balls, know you can touch it, and like, all right, good for me, I can touch it. But what, am I giving up free balls or down balls? Can my partner set it? So that clearly comes from you just reps and reps and reps and understanding yourself and understanding your partner. So that's a small sample size I got from you. Had a little constructive criticism about how you were reading Bill Kalinske or whatever, and you knew right away. We had this little agreement where we knew he was like a high line, and like his power cut or whatever was like top of the tape, and line was this way. You could say the same thing about Jeremy K-Spear. Hits a little harder than him, but as far as like reach and wherewithal, it's almost the same thing. Yeah. Because this is how Jeff and Chris, we played him, and it was 24-22. I mean, that's the best I could do, right? I guess the team no one thought we were going to beat anyway. You are definitely a partner where someone doesn't have to deal with their partner. You know what I'm saying? Then when someone has to deal with you, it definitely comes. And if someone has to deal with you, it probably comes from this satirical place, this joke where you two definitely get the joke, and if anyone else gets it, they get it, and if they don't, they don't. That's really, really cool about you. Hands and everything else that you want to do to perfect yourself as a volleyball player, you're in the right place, the right time with the right people. I will only say this, something you already know, but something our audience doesn't know, so we have to say things that educate them. You're not going to be better. You're not going to get better at something by not doing it. So find your technique, find your niche, find whatever, and hammer it to hell where you ain't got to think about it. It's like brushing your teeth, right? You don't get up and brush. You don't get up and think about brushing your teeth. You just brush, right? So I mean to talk to y'all guys like juniors, but putting it on the most simplistic thing. That's the read I got based on the sample size of watching you coaching against you guys, and also watching you guys play and sitting here with me today. So lightning rounds, guys. 60 seconds. Let's got to get my clock back. Right with my top down. All right, so these, my friends, are the lightning rounds. Answer as quick as you can, one after the other. And
we going one at a time?
1 minute, baby. 1 minute's all you get, like Street Fighter.
All right.
All right, and go. So, favorite comedian? Go.
Dave Chappelle.
Tom Segura.
Last good book you read?
Mindset by Carol Dweck.
I read Meditations. That was good.
Oh, that's a good one.
Marvel or DC?
Don't care.
Marvel.
Yeah, I like that. Pool or beach?
Beach.
Nice. Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
Lord of the Rings.
Bourbon, vodka, or tequila?
None.
Scotch.
Scotch. Favorite sport outside of volleyball as a spectator or an athlete?
Ice hockey or pickleball?
Soccer.
Nice. Favorite action film star growing up?
Sylvester Stallone, specifically as Rocky.
Yes.
I'll pass.
Favorite morning sports talk show? I mean, who has between you guys, who even has time for that?
WGR
right?
550.
Cool.
Buffalo
Ice
North.
cream or cupcakes?
Ice cream.
Perfect. I like that. Like synchronous swimmers.
You know what's
My
funny?
melt.
Yeah, we always talk about this. How anytime we say something at the exact same time, we always look at each other and we're like, mind melt.
Dude.
Like that's how
That's
we
it.
know that.
That's
there's
huge.
something
That's
there.
partnership.
That's
Yeah.
Sarah and
That's
Kelly.
it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like the two I interviewed them on, they're just
Yeah.
like same time. You
Yeah.
know, the McCullochs, Allison McCulloch and Kevin McCulloch. That might be before your time. Guy introduced me to so many people when I moved here. So let's plug in a website or IG handle. Some people want to get to know a little bit more what you guys been up to.
Absolutely.
Let everybody know.
So you can find me on Instagram at Tyler Penberthy, Penberthy, Penberthy. And then I also have a beach specific one, TP Beach VB. And then our sponsor is Lost Traveler for this season. Hit us up for custom sublimated gear. It'll be the best gear you own, cheaper than skunks, buy it.
What was the question again?
Your IG handle.
Or website or whatever.
Yeah, you can find me at Carlos G. Jimenez, just the one account, but just celebrated 1,000 followers. So
Yes.
Growing.
Wow.
We have a YouTube channel, Tyler Penberthy Beach Volleyball, that we're trying to live stream.
Perfect.
Our,
This chair is squeaking.
Oh, that's really. I was
I
like,
didn't
what?
even know.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Go ahead. That just started doing it on its own.
And so we need, I think it's like 50 or 100 subs to be able to live stream on YouTube, and that's kind of our goal as we keep growing as a team and partnership and playing more and more tournaments. And we want to be able to live stream our games. So please sub on YouTube. Follow our sponsor, Lost Traveler,
Yes.
Shane Welsh. The whole
Get you
squad
1,000
we got,
followers, so
man.
that allows you to do more things. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Dude, you were heavier than him, and it didn't even squeeze. All right, guys. So these guys might love you, but I don't love any of you. In fact, I can't stand any of you. So for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPad, for all of you on your iPhones, for all of you on your desktop, who runs the world? Old school, baby, old school. For my man, Carlos Jimenez. For my dude, Tyler Penberthy, I'm Jason DeBillius. This is the Option Podcast, episode 177, we hope. Still don't know. Stay with me. I'm going to roll my music, and we are out of here. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.